Welcome to this explainer. I want you to close your eyes for just a second and imagine the absolute perfect French dining experience. You've got the aroma of rich sauces reducing on the stove, the soft clinking of crystal wine glasses, the completely seamless service, right? It's a world built entirely on romance, tradition, and physical sensations. But behind the swinging kitchen doors of today's modern restaurant empires, there lies a completely different reality. It's a reality built on server racks, cloud infrastructure, point-of-sale data, and frankly, really high-stakes cyber threats. So today, we're breaking down the anatomy of a cyber target by looking at a genuinely fascinating case study, a Canadian restaurant chain called Chez Pierre. Okay, let's dive right in. Here's our menu for the evening. We'll start with the Chez Pierre story, look at their digital culinary engine, discuss their appetite for cyber risk, and finish up with the cyber threat menu.
All right, Section 1, the Chez Pierre story.
To really understand the vulnerabilities of any business, you first have to understand how it operates. And Chez Pierre didn't start out as this massive corporate entity. It actually has these really rich, sizzling origins. It was founded back in 2005 in Montreal by a culinary visionary named Pierre Dubois, a Michelin two-star chef who emigrated from France and basically just wanted to replicate that authentic, intimate European bistro experience. But, it didn't stay a single bistro for long. That original restaurant was a huge hit, drawing critics and tourists. Today, that number 30, that represents their total locations across Canada. They have literally grown from one passionately run kitchen into a national enterprise stretching all the way from Vancouver to Halifax. And obviously, with that physical expansion comes a massive expansion of their digital footprint. Now, what's really interesting is how they actually manage that massive growth. Chez Pierre uses a hybrid operational model. So they have 10 corporate-owned locations that act as their standard bearers. These are tightly controlled by the Montreal head office, they act as test kitchens for new menus, and they are incredibly profitable. We're talking a 20% EBITDA margin. Then, on the other side, you have 20 franchise locations. These allow for regional adaptability, so they could add local flair and ingredients while still paying royalties back to corporate and operating at a solid 12% EBITDA. It's honestly a perfect balance of corporate quality control and local entrepreneurial flair.
Moving on to Section 2, a digital culinary engine.
Serving over 500,000 meals a year, just at the corporate locations alone, takes way more than a few good chefs. It requires a massive technological backbone. Let's pull back the curtain on the kitchen and reveal the complex IT infrastructure running this entire hybrid business. This digital backbone is managed by a 32-person IT department led by their Chief Information Officer, Peter Dunn, and they basically act as the central nervous system for all 30 restaurants. Every recipe, every vendor contract, all the financial records, they're all stored in a central data management system up in Montreal. Every single restaurant uses interconnected point-of-sale, or POS systems, to update inventory in real time. They rely heavily on an online reservation system to manage their capacity. They even use IoT, Internet of Things, connected appliances in the kitchens to send proactive maintenance data straight to the chefs. It is a highly, highly connected environment. Of course, running all of this tech costs serious money. For 2024, Chez Pierre's total IT budget was 16.3 million Canadian dollars. If we look at how that breaks down, 6.4 million goes to salaries for Peter's team, 5.6 million keeps the daily IT operations running, and 3 million is dedicated to new software development. And this right here brilliantly illustrates a massive potential vulnerability. Just look at that visually tiny slice of the pie dedicated to cybersecurity. It's just $1.3 million. That is all they're spending to protect a national chain generating hundreds of millions in revenue. Which brings us to Section 3, appetite for cyber risk. So you might be wondering, why allocate the budget exactly like that? Well, to get it, we need to transition into the corporate governance mindset and look at how Chez Pierre's executive leadership views these digital vulnerabilities. In the corporate world, this is defined as risk appetite. Look, Chez Pierre recognizes that taking risks is just an inherent part of doing business. The crucial thing is how they balance it. They have a moderate appetite for strategic risks, like expanding into brand new cities, because, hey, that drives growth. But they have a very, very low appetite for operational risks. They absolutely cannot afford for their kitchens to stop cooking or for their online reservations to go down. Daily operational continuity isn't just nice to have, it's an absolute necessity. To actually put a number on this abstract concept, the board assigned themselves a specific risk tolerance metric, 0.4 on a scale from 0 to 1. Just to put that into perspective, a 0 is complete total risk aversion, and a 1 is basically reckless risk acceptance. Sitting right at zero point 0.4 cements their posture as moderately risk-averse. They are especially conservative when it comes to compliance, protecting customer data, and ensuring overall cybersecurity. Simply put, they want to play it safe.
And now, the main course. Section 4, the cyber threat menu.
Because let's be real, playing it safe in the boardroom does absolutely nothing to protect you from the reality of the internet. Based on risk assessments, cybersecurity consultants have identified the exact scenarios that threaten this restaurant's very survival. We have to pivot away from the theory for a second and look at the immediate visceral stakes here. What actually happens when the digital kitchen catches fire? If systems go down, you can't see guests, you can't process credit cards, and you can't order ingredients. So let's look at the top threats facing Chez Pierre right now. Threat scenario number 1, a ransomer siege on their online reservation system. This is a total nightmare scenario for them because it directly targets the customer's ability to interact with the brand and actually book a dining experience. Think about it. If guests can't book a table online, the restaurants just sit empty. Here is the really swift, step-by-step disaster of how this unfolds. It starts out so simply. A reservation staff member gets a cleverly disguised phishing email and clicks a malicious link. Instantly, ransomware downloads and starts spreading across the network. It encrypts the reservation databases and all the application files. Suddenly, a ransom note demanding cryptocurrency pops up on the screens, and the entire reservation service is completely paralyzed. Nobody can book, and the restaurant is bleeding immediate revenue. To stop a total disaster like this, the IT team has to deploy strict, actionable mitigations. We're talking routine, off-site backups of all reservation data so they can just restore the systems without paying a dime to the hackers. They need modern anti-ransomware software. And crucially, they need network segmentation. So if a receptionist's computer gets infected, it doesn't immediately spread to the core corporate servers. All right, threat scenario number 2 moves from locking up tables to actually stealing money. We're talking about point of sale, or POS, malware. This is a massive threat because it involves the silent theft of customer financial data right at the dinner table or the checkout counter. Let's see how this builds into a terrifyingly quiet disaster during, say, a busy dinner rush. In this scenario, malware slips into the POS system. Maybe it's disguised as a routine vendor software update. Once it's installed, it just sits there silently. Every single time a customer swipes a credit card to pay for their meal, the malware captures the data. Then, periodically, it exfiltrates batches of these stolen credit card numbers to an external server controlled by cybercriminals. The crazy part? The restaurant has literally no idea it's happening until someone finally spots anomalous network traffic. So, how do you catch an invisible thief? It takes really strict internal controls. Chez Pierre has to implement end-to-end encryption for all card transactions so that the malware only ever sees useless, scrambled data. They also need to completely segregate the POS network from the rest of the corporate network, run continuous anomaly detection, and do regular physical security audits on every single terminal. But hey, the attacks don't just happen on the restaurant floor. They hit the corporate office too. Threat scenario number 3 is corporate email phishing. This is where you see sophisticated campaigns directly targeting the inboxes of corporate employees and franchise managers. By tricking an employee into entering their login credentials on a fake website, attackers gain full access to the corporate network. From there, they can leak proprietary business information, alter vendor contracts, or commit major financial fraud. And finally, we have threat scenario number 4, DDoS peak hour paralysis. Imagine this. It's Friday night, 7 p.m. The kitchens are absolutely firing on all cylinders. Suddenly, a distributed denial of service attack floods Chez Pierre's online ordering and delivery platform with massive amounts of malicious traffic. The servers get completely overwhelmed and just crash. Legitimate customers can't place takeout or delivery orders at all. The revenue stream for the most important night of the week is essentially destroyed in a matter of minutes. Defending against this final layer of threats means protecting both the human side and the server side. Mandatory security training is crucial to help employees spot those sneaky phishing emails. Multi-factor authentication, or MFA, is non-negotiable. It ensures that even if a password does get stolen, the attacker still can't log in. And for the servers, subscribing to specialized DDoS mitigation services can filter out all that junk traffic and keep the online ordering platforms running smoothly, even during the craziest dinner rush. So, looking at all of these scenarios brings us right back to the core tension of the Chez Pierre case study. We know they are a massive 30-location brand. We know their board is risk-averse with that tolerance of 0.4, yet when we look at their IT budget, we really have to ask,
Is a $1.3 million cybersecurity slice truly enough to protect a national culinary empire from ransomware, POS malware, and DoD attacks? It's a question literally every growing business must eventually face, and it's one that definitely leaves us eager to explore the fascinating world of cyber risk quantification even further. Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer.